Outspoken human rights activist and professional basketball player Enes Kanter Freedom is risking his NBA career by taking a stand against the league's close business partner, China. I spoke with him at the International Religious Freedom Summit in Washington, D.C., where Kanter was a featured participant. Here is part of that interview.
What I care about is inspiring young generation. I remember when I was a kid, whenever I watched an NBA game, the first thing I was watching was the shoes. What color they are, what brand it is, or if they're comfortable. The next day I was telling my dad to go buy it. So I was like, let's do it a very unique way. Let's bring those artists around the world. And they've been oppressed by their government, so they know what's going on. And tell them to, put all their feelings and emotions on the shoes. 100% American made. No slave labor involved. And we're gonna go out there and play in those. And they did that. And I remember first time I put the shoes, went out there at Madison Square Garden, New York Knicks. It was on ESPN. It was Celtics against near the Knicks. It was like the biggest game. It was the opening night actually of the Garden. I remember we sang the national anthem. We came in a team huddle, and two gentlemen from the Boston Celtics, they were for NBA, came to me and said, you need to take your shoes off. I was like, what are you talking about?
What did the shoes look like?
The shoes, it was saying free Tibet.
Okay.
It was, my first wasn't
first pair,
Tibet,
like that.
And they said, you need to take your shoes off. I was like, what are you talking about? He said, we have been getting so many calls from the league, from the owners, you have to take your shoes off. And it was the perfect moment, because I was just getting ready for my citizenship test. So I closed my eyes. I'm like, okay, there are 27 amendments. My first amendment, freedom of speech. I was like, no, I'm not taking my shoes off. I was like, I don't care even if I get fined. I'm not taking them off. They said, we're not talking about a fine. We're talking about getting banned. I was like, they're literally threatening me to get banned because of my shoes. So I didn't take them off. And at halftime, I went back to my locker room. And there was thousands of notifications, and I clicked on the one that my manager sent me. He said, every Celtics game are banned in China. So it took China 24 minutes, 12-minute first quarter, 12-minute second quarter. It took them 24 minutes to ban every Celtics game of television. Well, I was like, well, that clearly shows my point, the censorship, the dictatorship. So that game I played 0 minutes. After the game, obviously, my phone was blowing. And I talk about the problems were happening in Turkey. I only got 2 text messages from the NBA, and it was from Adam Silver.
The commissioner.
The commissioner. He was saying, we support you, we love what you're doing, keep doing what you're doing.
So he supported you?
This was about Turkey.
Oh, about Turkey.
This was about Turkey. So when this happened, my phone was ringing once every hour. The NBPA, the Player Association, everyone was calling me. It's like, please, we are begging you, take your shoes, do not wear them ever again. The NBA is pressuring us so much. And this is the Player Association, they're supposed to...
The union.
The union.
Michelle Roberts was the union, who I've known for years.
They're supposed to have the players back, because I pay them once a month every year that I played it.
How much you pay them?
A lot of money, thousands of dollars.
What did the union say to you? Get the shoes off?
They said, don't wear them ever again. Don't wear them ever again.
And what did the commissioner say?
So I told the commissioner months later. So I told them, I'm like, am I breaking any rules? They said, no. I was like, well, so why am I taking my shoes off? They said, we are begging you taking them off. They were pressuring me and my manager so much. I was like, okay, promise. I'm not going to wear free Tibet shoes ever again. Just leave me alone. The next game, I'll wear free Uyghur shoes. And they're like, they called me right after the game. They're like, you're a liar. You lied to us. You wore them again. I'm like, first of all, I never said I'm not going to wear free Uyghur shoes. I just said I'm not going to wear free Tibet shoes. So at that point, they understand that they cannot make me apologize or take my tweet down and say I was not educated enough, I didn't know enough about it. They're like, I know I'm here to fight. So at that moment, it was done.
Nike ever contact? Do you ever hear from any of the manufacturers of shoes like Nike?
Nobody. They can't. because they know if they do, I will expose them to the whole world. I don't care.
Where are most of these shoes made, tennis shoes made, basketball shoes?
Xinjiang, Nike, and Nike is the biggest sponsor of NBA.
Have you ever heard from Nike?
No, never. I even called out Phil Knight. I even called out, players like LeBron James, Michael Jordan. Well, because they are the face of Nike and NBA. And I was like, listen, after the season, I will pay for the tickets. I will pay for the hotels. Let's go to Xinjiang area, and see how this shoe's made. No response.
Nothing.
Nothing. They
Not a
can't.
word. Well, what does LeBron James, has he ever responded to you?
Well, so unfortunately, the sports media sucks because they're controlled by the NBA. So when a sports journalist, because they're scared, they want to have access to locker rooms when this whole COVID thing ends. So when a reporter asks him a question, they ask him a question about, oh, what do you think about Enes? Why are you asking him a question about me? Ask him about the people who is making your shoes. It's pretty much like a modern day slavery. And you're talking about social justice here, but on the other side of the world, the people who are making your shoes are pretty much a slave, So sports media, I had no hope from the sports media because I know they were controlled. Actually, one of my teammates told me they're controlled by the NBA. So I was like, the political politic media will help me the most, actually.
When the commissioner did contact you or talk to you, what did he say?
I reached out to him, and I was like, I want to talk to him. I was like, MBPA, I don't want to talk to you anymore. Boston Celtics, I don't want to talk to you anymore. I want to talk to the commissioner. So we had a 30-minute conversation, and he pretty much talked to me like a robot. He pretty much told me what I wanted to hear. We support you, we do this, we encourage our players to talk about whatever they want to talk about. On the other side, the MBPA, the union, is telling me the NBA is pressuring us to tell you to take your shoes off. So I know that he was lying. So at the end of our conversation between me and Adam, I was like, what do you think about China banning every Celtics game on television? He said, that's not true. That I lost it. I'm like, Adam, what are you talking about? There's a U.S. Department story out there, U.S. State Department report out there saying that because a player, they didn't even give my name, because a player talk about the problems were happening in China and they banned every Celtics game, it's a shame. You guys can find it on Google. At that point, I'm like, okay, he's not going to help because he's a liar. So I was like, at that point, I'm like, well, I'm alone in this now.
And now, I mean, you were playing for the Rockets, and then you were waived, right? Mm-hmm. That was what, February or March?
February.
Do you think that's in any way related to this at all? I mean, sometimes a player is sort of, is marked.
So I'll tell you the story, and you guys can decide if it's the purposely done it or not. So when 2 years ago, general manager of Houston Rockets, Daryl Morey, tweeted about Free Hong Kong, they made him take his tweet down, and he was the GM of the Rockets. So that's one. And two, Yao Ming was selected, I believe, in 2008, the highest draft pick Houston had, #1 pick from China. And that's how NBA got into Chinese market by using Yao Ming. So that's two. And three, later on, we learned that Rockets owner got tied up over $165 million with China. I'm like, well, I don't need to answer. It's not a rocket science, That's my answer right there.
So what are you doing now?
Well, They are pushing me to retire at the age of 30. I don't want to retire. I want to keep obviously playing basketball because that's something that I love, and it does give me a platform. I am very thankful for basketball, but fortunately, I had a conversation with my agents. The first day I talked about Tibet, he called me right after the game. He said, listen, I don't work for NBA. I work for you. So this exactly was his words. Whatever NFL did it to Kaepernick, the NBA is going to do it to you. That's exactly what he said. All the owners, all the people, players, whoever, are going to tell you that you're doing something amazing, but they're not going to support you, but you're not getting another contract after this. Even my teammates said, listen, dude, this is your last year, right? Just have fun. I hope you win a championship, but you're not going to play basketball ever again after this season.
That's just one part of my interview with professional basketball player Enes Kanter Freedom. You can catch the full interview Monday, July 4th.